Okay.
Ah, look at Jorge, so cute. I just got up. I
Yeah,
set two alarms. I thought only the first one went off. And then Joey called me and was like, "Are you getting on this?" I was like, "Oh, I thought it was only 2 o'clock." It's 2:30.
Jorge was telling me about your work cycle, your work sleep cycle. I'm impressed. I
I'm
don't
a
think I could
vampire.
do that.
I told you, I'm a vampire.
It's amazing. It really is. It's impressive. I'm impressed by it. I wish I could do it. But my wife and child would kill me.
Oh, that's yeah. I'm like, yeah, no husband, no kids. I just have a cat, and cats are nocturnal. So
That's also true. All right, cool. So real quick, all right, this is the document, and I'll send this over to you. In fact, we've actually got a file for you guys that I'll just add you guys all to. That's going to have kind of as we kind of work through this, we can start keeping track of any documents, documentation we're going to have in this Google Drive, as well as any of these recordings from the videos. We'll put up in the Google Drive too, just so you have access to it. But essentially, we've mapped out, and it's very simple, but it's going to be the most seamless way for you guys to fire these. So what's in here is just some really quick information about how to actually link up with MailChimp and Shopify, specifically if you guys aren't connecting it to Shopify yet. I think you guys are, but just in case, some quick information. But the flow we want to run through, and this is going to be it, right? And this is what we talked about last week. After individual product purchases, we're going to let the normal email, confirmation email from Shopify get fired, because it's part of Shopify and it kind of has to get sent out. And what we're going to do is we're just going to alter the text in this to communicate to people saying, hey, thank you for buying. You'll also be receiving an email with instructions and a link to your syllabus, right? So keeping it really simple and straightforward. And then immediately at the same time, we're going to fire an instructions and syllabus email. That's going to be related to whatever the product they bought, whatever information you guys think needs to be communicated to them at that time, and a link to the syllabus. And that way you guys can just use that syllabus as a place to update your sort of workshop links and Zoom links or whatever it may be. So it'll link out to the syllabus document. And then the final piece here, which I want to talk to you guys about in conjunction to us actually talking about what we're going to do next, which is pre-purchase acquisition, is talking about after somebody makes each one of these purchases, what's the next purchase they should make in the lineup? Is it something that's evergreen that we could put as part of this automation? Or is it something where it just makes sense for them to fall directly into your standard weekly newsletter and you guys just start pitching them on whatever the next upcoming thing is? It's a great opportunity to do what we call post-purchase upsells, but unless there's a good product to do here, it doesn't make sense. So this is the flow we're going to do. And then, Jorge, what I've done here is I've just sort of mapped out for you how to do it. Really straightforward. So where and how to edit that information in the confirmation email for Shopify, and then how to set up the automation in MailChimp. I actually did a full screencast in here that walks you through it, how to do it. So it's like a 5-minute long video. It's really straightforward. And as you start to set it up for each of the products, just let me know and I'll get in and I can tweak it and make sure everything is looking good. What I'd recommend doing is do it for a test product first. So don't actually add this to one of your products, like your live products yet. Create a new sort of test product within Shopify and then set up one of these for it. And that way we can test it first and then you can start adding them to the rest of them. Does that sound good? It makes sense?
Yeah.
Cool.
Wait, Jorge, you're muted.
All right. Sorry, the they were doing like vacuuming in the hallway or something, so I was just trying to.
You're fine.
No, and actually speaking of test products, I think this is great because we're going to be sort of launching a new product that will be live for about 3 months, and this could be something great to test. And I love the flow. My last job, we had a similar product like this, and one of the things that we did was based on what they purchased, we would the product had optional add-ons that you can take advantage of. But if you didn't purchase one of these add-ons at the initial time, we would the next day say, hey, we see that you didn't buy X, Y, and Z. But if you buy based on whatever they didn't purchase, we would offer them the remainder of that at a discount. And we saw just really, really strong numbers in terms of people taking advantage of that opportunity, which for us was just pure, icing on the cake. So I think that this could be a good, like a really strong product to really kick off with this.
Yeah, I think that's great. And again, that's what sort of the power of this, we call post-purchase upsell, is that it's, they've already put the credit card down, they're primed, right? And you've just delivered on what they've wanted. And so the trick here is to time this, right? Is to time this sort of post-purchase upsell at the right period. But, so let's say somebody buys a product, and that might be sort of an issue. So we have to kind of figure that out. But the idea is somebody buys it, they engage either, depending on what you're going to sell them, right? If it's sort of the next training in the sequence, right, then this fires after they've already done the first one. If it's an upsell that goes along with that training, so maybe I'm just sort of speaking out loud, but let's say it's a live workshop and then plus a one-on-one consultation or something, right? You could sell them on that one-on-one consultation immediately after buying this. And have all these firing automatically in the background versus having to send out sort of individual campaigns every week selling your products. Mm-hmm. So that's sort of the benefit of all this automation is we want all this stuff firing all the time in the background, because that's just gonna give you this constant flywheel of people coming through and buying and upselling as you go. So wherever we see an opportunity to do upsells, we're gonna want to trigger that, and email automation is the best way to do it.
Sweet.
Cool. So again, we keep this super simple, and the whole theory behind it is documentation. You can use this really easy. And as you have questions or as you want me to jump in and review, just let me know and I can jump in and help you out. But this is a good framework, at least to get started and to get a test one set up. Let's make sure it's all working, and then we can roll it out to the rest of them.
Great.
Cool. Okay, so I will send you this. I just wanted to walk you through it just to make sure we're good to go. Then what I want to do is spend sort of the rest of the time sort of talking about what's going to come next. So we had talked about prioritizing. So we kind of bring this into phases, right? We wanted to kind of take care of some of these automation pieces first real quick, kind of start getting these set up. And then the second piece we wanted to go after was either starting to work on the new Shopify site or start setting up these pre-purchase acquisition flows. I think we need to do the pre-purchase acquisition flows first for a couple of reasons. First, I want to get them up and running because the more data we have on them, the more we can optimize them over sort of the next 2 months, which makes them really powerful by the time we get done. So it's good to get those things up and running. B, I think you guys already have enough content and sort of collateral that building this out is not going to be maybe as much of a burden as it would be for somebody who doesn't have a lot of good content already. So I think it's really more so about kind of figuring out, kind of showing you guys the structure, mapping it out, and then we'll figure out kind of what we can pull from to fill in the blanks and then get it live. And we can have that running on your Wix site. We can have it running on your Shopify, the hub right now, like the Roadmap Writers Hub site, all at the same time. And then once those are in place, then we can start to move over to the Shopify site. That way you kind of got some of this automation done. You've got this firing in the background, which is collecting emails. It's spitting out sales because it's putting them into a nurture sequence. We're getting data so we can constantly monitor it and improve it while we're working on that move over to Shopify, which is going to be a little more grunt work because we're going to have to actually get things set up. So this way you guys can actually have stuff firing in the background that's going to produce sales and help things out while we make that move over. So unless you guys disagree, I think that's the route we go.
That's fine by me.
Cool. All right. So let me walk you guys through this strategy and let me know, can you guys still see this screen here?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Hold on. Just muted myself. Okay. So let me kind of talk to you guys a little bit about, so before we actually dive into this, at the end of the day, e-commerce is a really simple equation, right? It's traffic in the door times your conversion rate times your average order value equals revenue, right? And you kind of have to factor in repeat purchase rate in there, but that ties also into the traffic equation. So when we look to do anything to scale growth, we're looking for one of those levers. What's a lever we can pull to scale this thing up? So it's either traffic, conversion rate, average order value, or repeat purchase rate. So when we do that, we like to look at the site in terms of an inverted funnel like this. And knowing that the customer is going to require, this prospect is going to require a certain amount of steps they have to go through before they make a purchase. So when we view your site and we think about your site, this is how we do it. We think about it through the lens of this purchase funnel. So everything the site does needs to somehow align and move somebody through this funnel. And when I say the site, I mean the email, I mean the social account that goes along with it, I mean the retargeting ads that go along with it. It all needs to work holistically to move somebody further down that purchase funnel towards the point of purchase. And then once they purchase, getting them to come back, loop back, and buy again. So we're going to address the very first piece of the stage, which is what we call attract. We're going to address this when we do this, the move over to Shopify. You guys have done obviously already a decent job with your Wix site because you guys have scaled and you've got decent revenue, and you've done that by telling a story. Now, granted, all that revenue, all those customers are coming from qualified sources, so it's pre-qualified, but the site's good enough that you're making sales. So we know that this attract piece, which is what we call sort of message to market, correct messaging, correct branding, is working to a certain degree. We'll optimize it when we move over to the new Shopify site, and we'll talk about how to do that. So we're kind of skipping this step right here to begin with, because we're going to go to that next. But the next piece of the funnel is what we call acquire and nurture, or you can call it pre-purchase acquisition and nurture. And the point of this is that, let's say your site's performing incredibly well. Let's say it's converting, 5 to 10%, which would be unbelievable. That's still 95% of people who are not buying, right? And the way that just consumer psychology works, marketing works, your own buying habits work, you guys know this and you see it all the time, is customers, there's always gonna be top 10% of the market that's gonna buy immediately. So whether it's an early adopter, whether it's somebody who just impulse buys extreme emotional buyer, there's that top 10% that's always gonna buy and be comfortable buying on a first visit, or first time they walk into a store, or the first time they see something. The other 90% of the marketplace, though, requires a little more schmoozing, right? They need to feel comfortable. They're going to have questions. They may not understand the product. They might not trust who's selling it. There's a lot of barriers to purchase that come into play. And if you look at just marketing in general, right, this is why commercials exist. This whole idea of priming buyers to buy before they buy. And we know that in general, consumers require at least 5 to 15 of these touch points before they're going to feel really comfortable buying from you. So what we like to do is build in systems that actually manufacture touch points. So as opposed to just having somebody come to the site once, maybe they say a retargeting ad again, now we prefer to have that person come to the site once, opt into email, opt into a social account, over a span of 2 weeks, get 4 to 6 emails, see your social account 3 to 7 times, see a retargeting ad 3 or 4 times. So this person that would have only come to the site once, seen a retargeting ad, is only so primed to buy. This person that's seen all these emails, social, and retargeting ads and come to the site a couple times is now engaged with your brand 15 times. They're a raving fan. They see an email about a brand new live training you're doing, and they're going to jump. They can't wait to join, right? So the plan here with building this system is not just saying, oh, hey, let's add more people to our email list. It's saying, okay, the goal of this is to manufacture touch points over a specific period of time that's going to take a cold prospect into somebody who is 10x more likely to make a purchase decision with us in a 2-week period of time. So we're going to manufacture this by building in these systems. That's the whole point of what we're doing. And the 2 most effective ways to do it are with email and social, because they don't cost anything. And then you layer in retargeting ads on top of it to just add extra firepower. So that's what we're gonna be doing, is building in these acquisition pieces. And I'll show you exactly how we're gonna do that. But again, this right here just visualizes exactly what I just said. So think of somebody who's visiting you, and then they come to the site, they're introduced to the brand for the first time over 1 to 3 weeks, as opposed to them just come to the site once. We want them coming to the site and getting these emails, these social posts, and these retargeting ads, building up to anywhere from 5 to 15 different experiences and touch points with your brand over that period of time. Does that all make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And it's not rocket science, right? But it's at the end of the day, it's a gap in the purchase funnel that most early sage brands just don't build out because they're doing a dozen other things, but in and of itself can be one of the most powerful tools you do. So the numbers we're always aiming for with this are, and I'll go back to this slide here, is we're aiming for at least 5 to 10% of your site visitors to be opting in with email to something. And we'll talk about what that something is in a second. Then we want to be putting them into this nurture system that's going to, over time, as we optimize it as best as possible, convert 5 to 10% of those people. And if you can do that, you can literally manufacture an additional, quarter, half, even a full percentage point to your current conversion rate just by doing this. So it makes it really, really powerful. Okay, so let's talk about how we're going to do it. So there's 2 places and 2 ways we want to get these opt-ins. So the first is we want to do a landing page opt-in, and we want to do an exit intent. The way that we typically see landing page opt-ins work really well is with some sort of a giveaway. And I know you guys do content giveaways. I know you guys do free products. So let's talk about what those are. Let's talk about what's going to be the best offering for somebody who is cold. Maybe they came through a soft referral, but let's think of it in terms of cold audience. Like segment your audience, talk about who they are. Is one offering work well for another work well for somebody else, or is there something that works well for everybody? Let's figure out what you guys have available. But the goal is we want to provide something that's extreme value. So not a discount code, not something like that. It needs to be something where it's relevant to what you do, so you know that opt-in is high quality, and it needs to be something that your audience would see as being extremely valuable to them. So we want to do that as a landing page opt-in for desktop and mobile. And then we also want to do an exit intent. So this is your people that are, leaving, sort of a last ditch effort. They probably already saw this other piece of content giveaway. So we want to do something else that's different. And what we see work really well for these are things like discount codes. I don't know if you guys run discounts or not. So that's something we should talk about. But something that's a little more of a last ditch effort attempt to get an email address. So those are the 2 things we're going to set up to begin with. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Sounds great to me.
Cool. All right. So let's talk about what you guys, so I know you guys do free products, and you guys get a lot of people to opt into sort of $0 products right now. What are those products, and are they targeted towards different audiences, or is there, or would any one of your potential audiences, buy, any one of them? Is there a segmentation amongst them?
Most of the free stuff is webinar from the webinar library.
Okay.
And then like there are free live webinars just depending on the month and who's doing what. So I think that, sort of the evergreen thing that anybody can use is probably Chris Deckard's webinar, like how to pitch like an A-lister, if it has to be specific, as opposed to just being like, here's a code for a free webinar of your choice from the library. If it has to be something like a specific one, like I would do Chris's webinar, because the pitch is relevant to everyone.
So what works really well, and this is where a lot of people get this wrong, is it needs to be really concrete. So things that we see don't work well and that have really low opt-in rates are things that are really vague. So things like, here's, $50 off any event, right? Or here's, pick your free training from the database, whatever it is. Like those don't work well. Like in more traditional e-commerce, like when we give away like $100 gift cards, they don't work as well. But when somebody gives away a free pair of shoes, like, and they show a picture of the shoes, it works incredibly well. We worked with a yoga mat company, and they gave away a free online yoga training with a very specific yoga trainer. And they had, the picture of the girl. She was an Instagram influencer, and everybody knew who she was. Incredibly tangible. People jumped all over it. So the more tangible, the more concrete, the higher the engagement and opt-in is going to be. So if we can be really, really specific, if we can use like somebody's name, if there's like a really high-profile person, that's going to give us the best opt-in.
I would say that, Chris Deckard, he's not like that high profile. He kind of has his own management company and whatnot, but that the topic of that webinar is relevant to anyone who would be visiting our site.
And I mean, I think also based on that topic, it potentially sets people up to buy something that is like, if someone wants to buy a single pitch, it's $35, which is a pretty sort of inexpensive way to dip your toe and familiarize yourself with some of our other offerings. I mean, is there anything else,
Called a
Dorian,
tripwire
aside?
product.
Yeah, that's.
Were you asking me something?
Yeah, was that sorry? Is that the one? I mean, do you think that in terms of like products for someone to first try, that buying, like an open pitch session is like the lowest barrier to entry for someone, a
Yeah.
new customer potentially?
Yeah, that's usually where we get new people. They usually start with a pitch.
Mm-hmm.
Or I guess
Okay.
a webinar, but usually it's with a pitch. It's like people hardly ever sign up for a program or a class if they haven't done a pitch or a webinar before.
Like a free webinar?
Or a paid one, but
Okay.
just because the webinar is $45. So
Okay.
the open pitch and the webinars are the sort of cheapest things. Open pitch is 35, webinar is 45. So they usually have done that before they sort of dive into anything else.
And you do in the webinar in the context you're mentioning now, that would be like a pre-recorded webinar that they're paying $45 for?
Live one.
Oh, it's a live one.
Like new people hardly ever order out of the library. It's usually a live one that they order.
Got it. Okay. And the live ones, so those are kind of constantly rotations. That's stuff that you guys send out on like a weekly basis when you do your.
We have a live one every Sunday.
Perfect. Okay. Okay. So, this is actually good. So, because you can kind of pitch them twice. So basically, the flow would look like, and we'll break this down in more detail, but we could offer this Chris sort of deck art training, right? That's a pre-recorded training.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we could offer that as sort of the initial high-value landing page offering that we're talking about right now, which is good, and get people use that. That's basically the bait, right? That's the lead magnet bait. Pull them in. Do you guys pitch after that? Is there a pitch to buy something after that free training?
No, but because the topic is how to pitch like an A-lister, usually the next step is for them to buy an open pitch session.
Okay.
So
but it's not like it's explicitly going, hey, go buy it's not like, hey, we also offer this, right?
No, it's usually like, I mean, just for that one, it's because he's just giving you all his advice on like how to pitch effectively.
Yep.
But it would make sense that then after that, we offer them like a $5 discount on an open pitch session.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. That's where I was going with it. So what we want to do is that's going to be the opt-in, and that's going to send them directly to that training. And then from there, we're going to put them into the drip campaign, the actual email flow. And I'll break that down here in just a second. But the result of that flow is going to be that we sort of split it into two pieces, and the selling portion of that piece is going to be focused on getting them to buy an open pitch session, which you said is 45, right?
35.
35. Okay. And then after that, if they don't buy the open pitch session, then what we'll do is we're going to just drop them back into your standard email list. And that way they start getting these weekly emails about your Sunday live webinars. Cool. So that way you're kind of people that we're going for like a 10% opt-in is the goal here. People come to the site, putting them through an email drip that's going to get them to engage the brand, learn more about the brand. And then from there, we're going to pitch them on the open pitch session, which is 35. They take it, awesome. They don't take it, they get dropped back into your standard email list, and then they start getting that weekly pitch to buy the live webinar on Sundays. So now you've got sort of two Tripwire products that are going to be pitched over the span of, say, call it 2 to 3 weeks. And then they'll also just continue getting those weekly emails. So that's a good position and a good place to put these kind of cold prospects. Okay, and if they buy, we'll talk about that later because that's going to be a post-purchase flow. Alrighty, that makes sense. Let me take a note here. Okay, cool. Okay. Do you guys, and you guys run, I think I remember you guys saying last week, you guys do some sort of pop-ups and email acquisitions right now, right? Don't you guys use a tool for that?
Not pop-ups. There's just in the footer there.
Oh, it's just built into the site. Right. Okay. All right. Okay. And that's totally fine. So the first step here is there's two steps, right? We're going to want to build these pop-ups, and then what we're going to want to do is actually build the email flow that comes behind it. Pop-ups, really straightforward and really easy. So I'll kind of talk about that here in a second. The more robust piece of this is going to be the email flow that comes behind it. And that's something we're going to have to work through, you know, in a couple of these sessions and also offline a bit, just to make sure we get that content right. But to start, the tool that we'd like to use is a tool called Just Uno. It is a paid pop-up tool, but it's super powerful and it's very cost effective, depending upon kind of how many visitors you get and everything like that. But it absolutely pays for itself in terms of actually, and if you use it correctly, like we're going to set up for you, the amount of people you bring into that funnel and then start putting through those sales funnels, it absolutely pays for itself. So that's my recommendation. Plus, we can get you guys a discount on it because we ended up partnering with them in order to do that. So we can give you guys a 25% off discount on it, but it's really good. And what it will do is, so I'll get you guys sort of set up on this if you're okay using it. And once you're set up on it, I can go in and actually upload a few different versions of some templates for you. That way we know we're starting you guys off with a really good baseline. And then all we need to do is just tweak the content and tweak the imagery within it. And you'll be good to go. And then I can also jump in and make sure we've got all the settings and stuff set up correctly. But what we're going to want to do, and this is the reason why I'm showing this slide, is we got two examples of really high performing pop-ups, because I wanted to give you guys a sense of how we want to market this to the audience. So really tangible, right? Really concrete. You know, this example of like Taft shoes, for example, you know, win a pair of Tafts each week. It's super concrete. You see the image of the shoes. You know, it's really clear. You can win this thing every week. Like it's a really good offering because it's tangible. So we're going to do something similar for you guys. You guys aren't going to run a contest because it's a free kind of evergreen piece of content, but we're going to have like an image of the guy, some sort of imagery that matches the training. Whatever you guys have as collateral, let's take a look at and see what you can use. But we want the visual to be really strong here. What was that?
We probably just use the graphic on the listing that Brandon made.
Yeah. Whatever you guys have, we'll work with. But the more tangible and concrete and easier it is to tell what it is, the better. And so that's gonna be the first piece, is we want to do this. The second piece of this is once they opt in, and I'll show you this once we get the templates uploaded into Just Uno for you. We're gonna want to prompt them to not only opt into this training, but we also want them engaging with you on some sort of a social platform. Do you guys do Instagram or Facebook?
Yeah, we have a writer.
You do it well?
Well, a writer of ours is doing our Instagram and is doing a good job because she's like the queen of Instagram. And then Facebook was supposed to be done by our webmaster that was just on the way out. But she like kind of fell off doing anything social related. So
do you guys track it at all? Do you have a sense for how much, do you guys pull in revenue from Instagram?
Not as far as I know, because you can't really link on Instagram. So it's more about brand awareness than.
I just didn't know if you guys were doing attributions from, and could tell that traffic coming from Instagram was ultimately converting or not.
No.
Okay.
As far as I know, we don't know where we don't have any sense of any sort of traffic that's coming from Instagram.
Okay. So what we'll want to do also as part of this is, before we kind of wrap things up at the end, once we get through all this, is we want to make sure that you guys ultimately have your Google Analytics set up with Shopify with some goals, so that at the very minimum, once kind of the new site is up and running and everything is flowing smoothly, because right now you guys it's not all going through the site, and kind of everything is all over the place. So once everything is going through the same site, we're going to want to be able to say, okay, let's look at your traffic for April. How much of that traffic came from Instagram? And then how much of the traffic that came from Instagram ultimately converted on those visits. Now, that's not going to give you the full picture of how powerful it is, but it's at least going to tell you, okay, people that we've been nurturing on social actually came and took action and bought once they came to the site. But again, the goal here is we want to get them on a platform. And if we think Instagram is the better one for now, then that's what we should push them to versus Facebook. Do you guys think that's the right one?
Well, the only problem with Instagram is that on Facebook, we can like put up like a product and be like, and link it to something where they can buy. Whereas on Instagram,
you can't, right?
You can't like link to something where they can like click and buy. So
you can do Instagram shopping. You can set them up as buy from Instagram. Instagram has an integration with Shopify now where you can do that.
Oh, okay.
But that's not me convincing you to use Instagram. I'm just wondering, we just need to pick one because we want to start driving people to one of these platforms so we can be nurturing them on multiple different tiers, multiple different planes. So I'm just more so asking for, what do you got? Where would you rather have customers push to? They're on email already. What's the next best way for you to nurture them and get them engaged and get them to buy from you? Facebook or Instagram?
I mean, the Instagram is more active, but that said, it's just because we have somebody dedicated to
managing it. Right.
Like Facebook, there's nobody really managing it right now. But if you don't need to have somebody managing Facebook, and then I would say that Facebook is probably the better one. But right now, Instagram has more activity because there is a dedicated manager for
it. Okay.
One of the things I just wanted to bring up with marketing through there is and maybe the way I'm trying to think, Dorian, when people have to upload their material, it's usually after they've completed the checkout for everything, right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because that's one of the things that I was thinking about, like in terms of, and I think it also depends on the product, but a lot of the things that customers purchase, there is this need to upload something, and but you know what? This might be actually a moot point. So I just had to talk through it because I was just thinking of some of the obstacles and hurdles that sort of through advertising through Facebook and like Instagram I had experienced before, but I think that the way that our flow is now sort of takes care of that. So sorry, thinking out loud. Back to you, Alan.
No, you're fine. You're totally fine. So maybe the way to go now is let's push them Instagram. And then once you guys feel more confident in Facebook, then we can always switch this. But the point is, and this is where a lot of people miss this, is we want to heavily promote both. So if you get an email address, the second thing we want is them on Facebook or Instagram, because it just doubles your firepower. And it's going to make this thing 2x more powerful than just having an email account. And what you'll see too is that, open rates on email are, 15 to 30%, right? Social engagement is way higher, right? If you're in somebody's Instagram feed, they're going to see you, right? And so having that level of engagement in addition to email makes it really, really powerful. Okay, so let's do, for now, let's say Insta. And I'll show you guys how to set this up in Just Uno. Once we get the account set up, I'll do another screen recording for you guys and kind of walk you through it, so it's really easy to set up. But that's what we're gonna do for the initial welcome pop-up. Then what we also want to do is an exit intent. So if we're gonna do this Chris Deckart training as sort of the high value welcome offering, what's a good like last ditch effort? People are leaving the site, they haven't done anything, they haven't bought anything. We kind of need to, what's sort of like the piece of candy we can hold them to be like, hey, wait, real quick, before you go, thanks for coming. Next time, here's a discount code for X, or here's a free gift for this. Is there anything you guys have in the arsenal that you'd be willing to offer up sort of as a last ditch effort?
I mean, I think either like I get a discount code for a webinar of their choice from the library, or like a discount on open pitch.
Discount on open pitch.
Yeah.
Okay. Is the concept of open pitch something that everybody would understand, regardless of their sort of knowledge of your brand?
Yeah, everybody understands that, how that they need to pitch their projects in order to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. This is just my sort of knowledge gap in sort of the product. So I want to make sure I'm understanding. So if we throw a pop-up up there that says something like, get 15% off how would you describe open pitch? Is it like a reviewed pitch session, or is it like how would you describe it? Like, what's like the subtext of the title?
I guess a pitch review.
Pitch review?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what we should call it then. So, get 15% off our, open pitch, pitch review, or whatever we want to call it.
Or we could do it as like get a free pitch prep, and then they would just get a pitch prep with Brandon or Alex or Brianna, which is available to basically anybody whenever they want a pitch prep, but not that many people sort of know that or take advantage of it.
Is it free? Is it a free thing?
Yeah, because it's just our employees that do it.
And you do it just as a way to like close sales?
Well, and like for people who have maybe never pitched before, or their pitch is not effective, or they don't really know what to do in their pitch.
Okay.
Pitch prep.
That could be really interesting. Actually, that's a cool idea, Dorian. I mean, is that something where even like, we get them like set up on like Calendly or something, and it's like, hey, before you go, schedule your free pitch, whatever with them.
Have like just certain blocks of time that's available for it, and then Brandon or Alex or Brianna would do it.
I mean, because then that gives us an opportunity to, you Alan, you talk about touch points, but then we're having like an actual conversation with them. And it also gives us an opportunity to sort of tell them a little bit more about our brand and what we do and the value that we offer. And they actually get to experience it a bit there. So yeah, that's a really cool idea.
That's what we do. We offer free strategy calls, and that's how we pull in all of our client work. It works incredibly well because that's exactly what it is. It's not just a touch point. It's a interaction that's a really helpful engagement that turns into a sales call. Is essentially what it becomes, and they're really powerful.
Yeah, I mean that. I think that's a good idea.
Okay. All right, I'm just taking notes here. All right, so then on the exit intent, so the way we should do this though is I wouldn't link them directly to like a Calendly from that. We want their email, right? Because let's say they don't schedule it or they don't show up, right? We want their email and we want their social. So we want them on social. So we still want them in this flow. So I think the way to do it is we still offer the pop-up, and it's something like, claim your free, whatever you just called it, whatever the name is. And you enter your email to get it. And then once you do that, then we give you access to Calendly after that. So we kind of require email as the open gate, as the key to open the gate. So let's say you don't pick a date, or there's a date that doesn't work for you, or you just get cold feet and don't want to do it. You're still now at least in our follow-up flow. That's going to pitch you on a open pitch session or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right, that's perfect. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about what's going to happen after they opt in here. So this is the flow that we recommend. And right now you guys are sending how many emails out a week? Probably like one a week? Yeah.
Sorry, you got really choppy there.
Oh, sorry. You guys are sending about an email a week, right?
No, 2 a day usually.
Oh, you're doing 2 a day. Wow.
Usually 8 a.m. and 8 p.m.
Really? That's awesome. Okay. Perfect.
And if not, then it's usually 1 a day. Like hardly a day goes by there where there's not at least one.
You're not sending out an email? Okay. That's awesome. Okay. The reason why I asked is when we start setting up these automated flows, one of the big concerns we have that we need to be careful about is not sending out too many too fast, because then you've got email service providers like Gmail who are going to start thinking you as spam. If you all of a sudden, jack up your email send rates by 100%, they're going to start flagging you, and you're going to have a bunch of deliverability issues, which we don't want. So if you're only sending out an email a week, we'd want to be really cautious to begin with how many emails we put into this flow series. But if you guys are already sending out 2 a day, then it's fine. We can send out 6 of these things over the course of a week, and it's not a big deal. So long as that person's not getting your other emails at the same time, which they shouldn't be. They should be on this pitch, like on this flow, and then we'll move them to your other emails if they don't convert on this flow.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, right now it's that they just get put on the mailing list and they just start getting whatever's sent out every day.
Right, and it's not relevant, and there's no what we call indoctrination period, which means you're not giving them any time to figure out who the hell you are, right? And that's what we want to do first. So, excuse me, the way that we split up this flow, and we're going to do the whole 6 series email flow for you guys, and that's what makes it really powerful. So I want to break down the structure of this, and then the takeaway and what we're going to want to work on over the next week is we're going to want to start outlining what these are going to be. And this is just high level. I'm going to break down for you guys really specifically kind of what goes into each email on like a paragraph by paragraph basis. So you guys can kind of understand how we can structure these things in a way that's going to bring some conversion rates to them. But to start right now, all we want to do is just outline what the content at a high level is going to be. And let's get that into an outline format so we're comfortable with what each email is going to contain. And then we'll jump in and we'll actually start constructing the content that goes within each of them. So the flow itself is going to be 6 emails, and we basically break it out into 3 and 3. The first 3 are what we call indoctrination emails, and these are essentially emails that are supposed to bring customers. They're supposed to kind of pull them into your fold, right? Build some relationships, get them to better understand what you do, and also allow you to deliver some real high value content in a way that's going to build up the trust factor. So that's the first 3 emails. Then the second 3 emails are what we call the sales sequence. And these emails are designed specifically to sell. And the approach that we take is based upon just doing this a lot, and also it's rooted in consumer psychology. And the concept behind it is this, and I'll break it down for you. But everybody you sell to is buying for a different reason. Some people will buy based upon benefits. Some people buy based upon something called like social proof or sort of logic-based reasons. Some people require all of these things in order to make a purchase decision. And what we know through consumer psychology is that consumers make a decision to buy something first emotionally, and then they justify it with logic. So you see a handbag in the store, you see a cool pair of shoes, whatever it may be, you're emotionally drawn to it because you want it first. Like you're like, I need to have that thing. I want this thing. And then your mind starts going through these psychological questions that logically talk yourself into or out of buying it. And so the goal of everything we do on the site when we do the new site design and with these emails is to structure this in a way that we're targeting both the emotional side and then we're also targeting the logical side. So in this sales sequence, we're going to sell the same thing, which is going to be a $35 pitch session, and we're going to give them a discount code for it. So it's going to be 3 emails that are all 3 selling the exact same thing, which are this pitch session. But we're going to do it differently every time. So in the first email, we're going to sell the benefits. So same information that you're probably putting on the pitch page right now, we're going to put in this email, or we're just going to craft it in an email format. Then the second email, we're going to pitch this open pitch session again, but we're going to do it using things like customer testimonials or using press or anything that provides some social proof around your brand and around this product that gets people really excited. Maybe it's a case study, right? Maybe it's a past client who went through and used the open pitch and then they won it, and then their pitch got selected, whatever it may be. Something that's logical and social proof driven that's going to get somebody who now already understands the benefits to now help start justifying why they should buy it. Because they already know it's cool. You told me it's cool, but I don't really believe you because I don't know you very well yet. But now that I know it's cool, and now that I know that it worked for somebody else, now I'm really primed to buy this thing. And then the third email is what we call FOMO. And fear of missing out is the whole concept here. So we want to give somebody a trigger for making the purchase decision today versus tomorrow. So in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to introduce the discount code earlier in the series, and then we're going to basically give them like a window to use it at the end of it. So basically saying, discount code ends, tomorrow. And the idea is at this point, they've been sold on the benefits, they understand the value, they have seen a case study or testimonials which showcases and provides the social proof and the trust they need to buy this from you. And now we're giving them a trigger to make that purchase decision today versus tomorrow. So that's how we're going to structure this whole email flow. And if they buy, then we're going to move them over to a different, whole different post-purchase. Now they're a new customer flow. If they don't buy on this, then we're just going to drop them into your weekly campaigns. What do you think?
Love that. Yeah, that sounds solid.
Cool. So that's the game plan here. So let me walk you through real quick the indoctrination, and let's talk about kind of what we want to put in these. And the takeaway here for kind of next week, and I'm not sure who else is going to be working on this, because Jorge, because I know you're gone for a bit. So you guys can sort of tell me that too, kind of what, if we need to loop somebody else in or whatnot. But the goal for, kind of the takeaway and what we want to work on between now and when our next call is let's start getting these pop-ups set up so we can start tweaking the language around them. And I can upload some templates for you guys and help you guys out there. And then the next thing is we just want to put together a simple Google document that just outlines these emails and basically says, okay, email 1, this is what's going to go in it. Email 2, this is what's going to go in it. Email 3, this is what's going to go in it. And I'm going to need and this is where I'm going to need you guys' help to kind of fill that in for me so I know what content's available, and then we can help kind of craft these things out. But the first 3 emails, the goal is to, first off, let's deliver that training from this Chris Deckart, or let's deliver this sort of free pitch session Calendly link. So that's all going to go in this first email, plus a little bit about who you guys are. So a little bit of content about, oh, hey, this is who we are, this is what we do, this is why you should pay attention to us. Then the second 2 emails should be really high value content. So I don't know if you guys have, blog posts, or maybe we pull something from your kind of resource section, right? What's sort of like a free webinar that we can pitch in each one of these? Something else that's really high value content that if we can get them to engage with it is just going to put them that much further down the purchase funnel. So we want to come up with what are your 2 next best sort of evergreen would work for anybody in this funnel pieces of content that we can pitch in this second and then third email. And then in the 4th, 5th, and 6th emails, I just need to understand, we just need to outline what the benefits are, what social proof you could use, and then FOMO is easy. We don't have to worry about FOMO. We just need to pull together an outline that contains that content, and then we can start, I can start showing you guys how to actually put this into some formats that's going to convert.
Do you have that, the template that you were sort of talking about, do you have a Google template that you can share with us that we can then just go ahead and fill in?
Yep.
Okay, great.
It's just a simple Google Doc. It's really straightforward. It's just bullet points, but yeah, I can send that over to you. What I'll do is I'll put it in your Google Drive for you.
Thanks.
Yep. Make a note. So what we're going to do is I'm going to send over Just Uno info so you guys can sign up. And once you guys sign up, send me, and I'll send you guys this all in an email. Send me the logins so I can log in and connect it with my account. That way I can have access to it and help you guys out. And then also I'm going to upload our templates to it and record a little video for you guys to show you guys how to start setting this up. And then I'm also going to add the outline for emails. Awesome. And then once you guys kind of have that content filled in, I'll jump in, take a look, kind of fill in the gaps if I think something's missing or I think we need to, sort of up the value a bit. Make sure it's, because the power of this is it needs to be really high value. People need to get into this and they need to be moving through this sequence and sort of anticipating and wanting the next email. That's how we really rev them and get them ready to buy. So I can help you guys with that. And then once we have that outline, we'll sit down and we'll start writing the content. Any thoughts, questions, anything else, anything confusing?
Makes sense to me.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward.
So good.
It's like everything else. The devil's in the details, right? It's all about just getting these individual components pulled together correctly. So, all right. So that's all I've got for today. I'm going to follow up with you guys on all the stuff we just talked about. Let's talk about sort of next calls and sort of like execution, since I know, Jorge, you're out. So how do you guys want to play this kind of over the next 2 weeks?
I guess we kind of have to skip next week because I'm at Coachella next Friday too. So
Poor thing.
so
That sounds like fun.
Yeah, I go every year.
That's awesome.
So I think we'll have to skip next week. So it'll be
that's fine
because you're not available midweek. So
yeah, that's fine. That's totally fine. And then okay, that's fine. Let's just do that. Do you guys want to keep the same time on Wednesday the following week? Jorge, I know you're gone, but we can still meet and talk about what we can do on the following week, depending on who's going to start executing this email piece. What we can do is we can start talking about the Shopify move on that next meeting.
Yeah, because I'll probably be the one doing the Shopify move.
Okay, let's do that then. Let's get you started on that, and then when Jorge gets back, you can finish up. We can work together and finish up the email piece, and we'll kind of have all these pieces moving forward at the same time.
Sweet. Okay. Yeah, that sounds good.
Awesome. So what I'll also do is I'll send you guys a meeting invite. That way we've got it in the books for that week during, so we can talk then. Cool beans, guys. That's it. That's all I got. You guys have a good weekend.
Thank you.
Yeah,
you too.
Awesome. Talk to you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.